Hi, I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, and today I want to talk about freedom and what is freedom and how we can have real freedom. So freedom is the ability to think, act, and choose what we truly want, not being influenced by external or internal forces. And when we think about freedom, we think about being able to go where we want to go, say what we want to say, marry who we want to marry, and make choices about ourselves, our lives, our bodies, our families, our loved ones, our community, and our planet. And so let's talk about why maybe we're not as free as we would like to be or as we think ourselves to be. And it's not because the government is imposing restrictions or mandates or anything like that. The real reason we're not free is because very powerful corporations have figured out a way to influence our behavior. They have figured out how to get us to spend our money purchasing things that we don't necessarily need, but because they get a profit out of it, we are going to buy it. And how they've done this is that they have spent a lot of research and development money on figuring out human motivation and what makes people make the kinds of choices that we make. And then they are using the internet and social media to influence our decisions so that we buy more things. As well, they are mining our data. Every time we like something or purchase something or do something online, someone has a record of it, and then those records are compiled into algorithms, and then we are subtly manipulated into making certain kinds of choices in terms of what we do, what we think, what we buy. So we need to recognize that the internet is a profit-making entity, and its sole purpose is not to connect us to one another, but to make a profit. And so it's going to influence us subtly or more overtly to do things that will increase its profits. And what's happened as well, which is an unfortunate offshoot of that, is that certain powers, certain political powers, have recognized that they can use the same manipulation techniques in terms of getting us to do political action. For example, rioting, voting, and different kinds of things that are based on how it manipulates our behaviors. So we are being manipulated both economically and politically by forces that want to control our thinking. And so how do we find ourselves back in a place of real freedom? Well, two things. Number one, we have to verify the information that we're taking in, and we have to be, therefore, skeptical. We can't just assume that the things we're reading online are the truth. When we read conspiracy theories, most likely they are conspiracy theories because they're not true. They are based on opinions, not facts. And we need to go and find the basis for these things that we're reading. We can't just assume that if we read it, it's real. Don't forget that lies spread 6 times faster than the truth online, and that people are more likely to believe things that make them angry, indignant, or afraid rather than the boring, unsexy truth. So we need to recognize that when something is making us have a very strong emotional reaction, it's probably not the truth. And when something is kind of boring, it's probably the truth. So we need to recognize that and be much more skeptical of the things we read online, and recognize that what we read online has an ultimate goal of influencing our behavior, whether it's our purchasing behavior or our political behavior, because certain entities benefit from that. The internet corporations benefit financially, and certain political entities benefit politically. So if we want to be free, we have to be skeptical and we have to fact check. We can't just assume that something that someone has written online or said online is the truth. We have to find the facts to back up the things that people are writing and saying. And if we are able to be skeptical and if we are able to fact check, then we are going to be more likely to be free to make our own decisions in terms of what we buy, in terms of how we take political action. We're not going to believe every conspiracy theory that pops up online, and we're not going to believe things that rile us up and make us very upset. Because when things are riling us up online, most likely they are specifically written and presented in a way to get us upset, because certain entities understand that that's how they're going to influence us more easily. we want to be free. So if we want to be free, we have to recognize that people are trying to control us because it benefits them. We can either allow ourselves to be just manipulated and tossed and turned on the waves that these people create, or we can stand steady and recognize that we are free to think for ourselves, but we have to recognize that people are trying to influence us, and we have to be skeptical, fact check, and really understand that our freedom is coming at quite a cost because we are fighting to think for ourselves. We are fighting to understand what is true and what is fiction. And if we are not skeptical and if we are not fact-checking, then we will never be free. I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota. Please stay tuned for more videos on mental health and psychology topics.